As a scientist, I can tell you that Sundays are only 24 hours long. But with NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV, you get every game every Sunday all in one place. That's upwards of 30 hours of NFL in one day. How can there be 30 hours in 24 hours, you ask? I have a theory. Magic. New users get NFL Sunday Ticket for 8 payments of $34.50 per month. Sign up at NFLSundayTicket.com. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games and commercial use. Terms and embargoes apply. Availability varies.
At Sierra, discover great deals on top brand workout gear, like high-quality walking shoes, which might lead to another discovery.
40,000 steps, baby. Who's on top now, Karen?
You've taken the office step challenge a step too far. Don't worry, though. Sierra also has yoga gear. It might be a good place to find your zen. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Raise the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an Enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. Start converting your B2B audience today. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started today at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
You're listening to 1865, the Nottingham Forest Podcast with Rich Ferraro.
Hello and welcome to today's podcast. It's me, Rich Ferraro, and we're recording on Tuesday, the 16th of September, as we reflect upon the Arsenal match, which was Ange Postecoglou's first game in charge. We'll also look ahead to Wednesday's match against Swansea and have a little think about what impression the new manager has made so far. I'm joined by the Maradona in the Midlands. Hi, Maradona. How are you?
Hi, I'm very well, thank you.
Okay, great. And what we're going to do in today's podcast is we'll talk about those things in just a minute. But first, let's talk about Nottingham Forest women.
Welcome to YATESY'S Espresso Bar.
So I think it's fair to say that, getting your first win under your belt is always really important especially when you're making the step up into a new league. Now, I wasn't at the match and you weren't at the match, but we do have an expert opinion from one of our presenters of the 1865 Women's Show, and that is Matt. So let's hear what he had to say.
Forest Women scored their first ever WSL2 victory on their second attempt with a 1-0 win against fellow fresh faces in the division, Ipswich Town. It was an auspicious start for Forest when shortly after the team was announced, Freya Thomas picked up a pre-match injury and had to be replaced with Spanish international Kerry Garcia. Both teams are soon to prove. Could they hack this step up to the second tier? After a 4-0 drubbing the previous Sunday from Southampton, Ipswich also had pride to restore, while Forest knew that their losing debut against Newcastle could easily have gone the other way. Forest began confidently and held the ball well from the off, and showed ambition to score at will when Rachel Rowe fired a fantastic shot from distance, forcing a great save from the Ipswich keeper. There were other shots, but it was when Canadian star forward Deanna Rose, who had played excellently in other places, rounded the keeper and had an easy tap in and sent it wide. It felt that luck was not on Forest's side. But whatever Coach Carly Davis does at half-time, it works. Forest came out faster and more forceful and more fierce than the first half, and within minutes this paid off, when seemingly by sheer force of will, Garcia, remember her, slotted home to make it 1-0. Sensing blood, Forest went for a second. There was no parking the bus here. They were hammering Ipswich goal, while Forest keeper Emily Batty up the other end had a very quiet time of it all. It seemed certain a second goal was going to come, but it was not to be. But no matter. The whistle blew, 3 points were in the bag, and Forest's adventure in the upper reaches of football took a major step forward. We've got Crystal Palace next at home, and a further test. The Eagles have a disappointing start to this season, with only a single point in 2 games, and can clearly find a goal. However, after drawing 4-4 against Southampton last week. So, what's it going to be? Is it going to be a further 3 points to the first WSL2 home win for the Reds? Or has our luck run out already and we're going to find ourselves out of our depths. Well, there's only one way to find out. Get down the City Ground, 2 p.m. Sunday. This could be a fascinating match in what is shaping up to be a fascinating season.
Okay, thank you very much, Matt. And Maradona of the Midlands, just as I said just before we heard from Matt, isn't it so important when you are moving up to a new division? So important to get that first win under your belt, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, not even moving up a division. Every season when you begin, you want to get off the mark, don't you? Get some points on the board. And it just takes a little bit of the pressure off. And you can maybe go into the next game a little bit more relaxed. A good 3 points away from home. You can't really complain about that. And the home game to come, a chance to build a bit of momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. That word momentum, I was going to come on to that because obviously when you have got a new squad, many, many new players. Adam and Matt did talk about that in their season preview that, the women's game, people tend not to be on long contracts. It's quite often 1-year contracts. So there's a lot of churn every year and a lot of churn in terms of bringing players who've played at a higher level into the club once again, but a different kind of challenge. So the reason I want to come back to that idea of momentum is that very quickly our opponents, Ipswich, having lost 4-0 at Southampton in game week 1 and then losing at home to us, even though the table doesn't mean much after 2 games, really, to be bottom of it with no points and a goal difference of -5 is not a happy place to be, is it?
No, it's not. No. But I mean, I'm sure they won't lose heart. It's I mean, I'll be honest. I don't know what the standard is in this division, but I'm guessing it'll be fairly even, and a lot of the teams will sort of beat each other during the course of the season. So I'm sure they'll get a win sooner or later. But it's until that win comes, there's that sense of pressure on you, and it makes playing in the next game even harder. So, their sake, I hope they get one soon. I don't want anybody to be miserable.
Well, that's very magnanimous of you. And from a Forest perspective, the fact that we've already got that first win under our belt means that we can go into next weekend's home game against Crystal Palace with a little bit more spring in our step. And again, I think the other thing that's important is that, as Matt alluded to, and as Adam and Matt talked about last week, is it is very much a squad game. So Garcia came in at the very last minute because Freya Thomas was injured in the warm-up. So to have players like that coming in, to have, a higher standard player. And of course, if you are not sure about Deanne Rose, don't be fooled by the fact that she wears number 6. She is a pacey forward, and you can hear Adam and Matt talking about that. If you go back to our review of the first match of the season against Newcastle. Now, Adam and Matt will be at the match against Palace on Sunday. So if you can get down there, then do get down there and support Forest's women. And they will be reporting back from that match in due course. Now, Maradona, let's come back to talking about the men's team. And just want to start off by a few reflections on that Arsenal game, because you did host our match report and you were speaking to our very own Tom, who'd been all the way down to London and all the way back again. So, to be honest, you recorded on the Saturday at tea time, and by the time, it's not really enough time for the dust to settle, is it? I think there are a few things that you said in particular that I thought were particularly prescient. Number one is that Arsenal are now a very efficient machine. They've filled those gaps in their squad, haven't they? And so the fact that Saka was missing, well, Madueke's more or less unstoppable, even if he wasn't just playing against Morata. And then on the other hand, of course, it's always a tough place for Forest to go anyway. So those were really important factors. So it meant that it's really quite a baptism of fire for Ange Postecoglou. And okay, the scoreline wasn't, was maybe a bit worse than we wanted, but the result was probably what we expected.
Yeah, I mean, I think we weren't expecting anything more than that. Even if Nuno had been in charge, I think we probably would have had a very similar result. And during that first half performance, I was thinking, well, this is just like a Nuno game, isn't it, really? We're sitting pretty deep, not making much use of the ball, giving it away quite easily at times. So in that sense, there's not much change. And really, it was a big ask in whichever way you look at it, from the point of view that he'd only had sort of one full training session with the boys. The fact that they'd been on international duty and some of them had flown sort of halfway around the world. That's not easy. And the fact that Nuno had gone, and some of them would have been upset by that. I think he's had a big impact on a lot of their careers and lifted them up. So it's going to take a bit of time for their minds to sort of settle on Ange as a new coach, and without even taking into consideration tactics and formations and all that sort of thing, just to get their heads around that Nuno's not there and there's somebody else in the building. It'll take them a week or two. So, it was always going to be difficult. Always going to be difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. And with regards to tactics and formations, again, I mean, you said that actually we got the same result as we might have done under Nuno, and actually in many ways we played very similar to as we might have done under Nuno, in terms of sitting deep, in terms of Backwell was the one who made an impression when he came on, in particular, and that's still relying upon. I mean, it shows it's a squad that's built upon certain principles, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and I think that there's good. I mean, even last season, we were sort of seeing towards the end of the season where we needed to change the game a little bit and just have a different way of playing slightly. And at the moment, so far this season, the Brentford game, it looked like we were going to do that, and in patches against Crystal Palace. West Ham, we were sort of struggling again, and on Saturday against Arsenal, we're still struggling again. We've got a lot of players there now. I think that's almost. I was sitting there thinking, have we signed too many players? And it's just settling them all in, keeping them happy, and just having that mentality within our own club and our own fan base. So that big club mentality where sort of players have to be satisfied with maybe not playing it all the time. Where if Pep Guardiola is your manager or Arne Slot, you sort of have to accept that you're not going to play every week, and you can take it. At a club like Forest, it's a tricky situation.
Okay, so let's use that conversation to segue into the match away at Swansea. Now, there's a couple of aspects to this that I want to come on to, but let's start off with what you're saying there about giving players an opportunity. Are you expecting 11 changes?
Maybe not 11, but maybe eight or nine. I think Morato might be playing again next to Willy Bolly, and I'm trying to think who else. The rest of it, they might all be changed. I think Morato probably the one we'll have to start with, because Murillo's injured. You want to probably give Milenkovic a break because he was on international duty last week as well, so he'll play. You'd probably want, if you're the new goalkeeper, John Victor, you'd probably want to run out as well. Savona would want to run out again just to get his confidence going after the sort of stuttery debut at Arsenal. Zinchenko 1 minute. He's not played so far this season, so he'll probably want to play. And you can go through all those forward players you've bought. All of them will expect to play, I would guess.
And in the spirit of what you said about having too many players, the fact you're saying, Morato might have to play with Murillo out, but Jair Cunha will want a chance as well.
Yeah, but I think it looks like he's been put in with the youth, what's it called, B team these days, or under 20. I can't remember, under 23s or B team. Anyway, whatever it's called these days. So I'm not sure if he's going to be involved with the first team much before Christmas at all. He seems to be firmly pigeonholed into one for the future at the moment. So, but I mean, if people like McAtee, if he doesn't get a game now, and Douglas Luiz, I mean, you'd have to start wondering when are they going to get a game if it isn't tomorrow? So hopefully we'll see them, and I'm excited to see them. I'm excited to see a bunch of motivated new players looking to prove themselves and cement their place in a new team. And Ange will have had a couple of days to put in his principles and ideas. And I hope there is that sort of slightly more attacking bent to it all. For all the fun last season it was a hard watch at times, especially in the second half of the season. In the first half of the season, it was all joy because it was all unexpected. And the other opposition never looked like they were going to score against us. We could almost guarantee a clean sheet. In the second half of the season, when the defence was a little bit shakier, it was a very nervy time to watch Forest, especially with the prize of the Champions League places at the end of the rainbow. So I'm hoping it's going to be slightly more possession, slightly more goals, and slightly more entertaining maybe at times as well.
Well, and just in the spirit of playing devil's advocate, obviously in those first couple of matches under Nuno, we had increased our possession stats with mixed results. Now, still to come, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Swansea match and a little bit more about Big Ange. But first, it's time for this.
You're listening to 1865, the Nottingham Forest Podcast.
The Jack Welch Management Institute at Strayer University helps you go from, I know the way, to I've arrived with our top 10 ranked online MBA. Gain skills you can learn today and apply tomorrow. Get ready to go from make it happen to made it happen and keep striving. Visit strayer.edu/Jack Welch MBA to learn more. Strayer University is certified to operate in Virginia by Chev and has many campuses, including at 2121 15th Street North in Arlington, Virginia.
Welcome to YATESY'S Espresso Bar.
Welcome back to 1865, the Nottingham Forest Podcast, and to YATESY'S Espresso Bar, where we're getting caffeinated while we discuss all things Forest. So, Maradona in the Midlands, just before the break, we started talking about that Swansea match, and I talked to you about maybe things to do with, for example, players and tactics and so on. Just to use the old analogy, is this one a free hit in any way, shape or form? Because if it wasn't for the change of manager, you'd say, well, if Forest lost it, it'd be embarrassing briefly, but you'd get on with your season. Whereas now, with a new manager, it's kind of even more important that he gets the result, isn't it?
I think it is important, just in the sense of keeping our squad happy during these first few months of the season and getting them sort of firing and enough games under their belts. And also, Maranakis wants a trophy, and this is one of the sort of realistically one of the 3 trophies we can win. Is I think is being stated pretty clearly now for everybody to hear that we are in the trophy winning business. So we've got to go for it every time. So it's an important game.
And I mean, Ange did joke in his in his first press conference, didn't he? It's like, never mind the second season. I won't get a second season unless I do something this season. And he said as well, this is a chance to win a trophy. He says he got to the semi-finals last year with Spurs, and he's made it very clear. We need to give ourselves every opportunity to win a trophy. We'll give ourselves every opportunity to have a win. And he's talked about giving players chances, which is all fine. We know that Murillo's going to be out. He also said that it has not been difficult to get his ideas across, and it's just a matter of time. But at the weekend, he did say, didn't he? It's like, it's not a project. I'll need to get it done by Wednesday. So is he in danger of making a rod for his own back, or is that the level of confidence you need to express? I mean, let's be honest, there's a bit of a cultural thing there, isn't there? Aussies like to brag.
Yeah, well, it's got to stick because the way fans are these days and the media sort of spotlights and everybody, if you lose a couple of games, it just ramps up on you. The pressure just starts spiraling and you start getting asked difficult questions. So it's just, I think he's just being realistic. He's got to get it going sooner rather than later, because just a few games into the season, people are already sort of questioning managers up and down the country. Amorim at Manchester United already being questioned. we've seen the guy at Sheffield United go again. So it's not a patient sport anymore. You don't get much time, and our fans maybe not as hyperbolic as the Tottenham fans, but we've got our own little, our own fan base that will sort of hype up the pressure and start booing and things like that if it's not going well, especially because he's replaced a favourite in the form of Nuno. So he's got to start winning soon. There's a lot of people to be convinced, and he's going to have to do it quickly.
Yeah. And actually, in that sense, Swansea potentially do provide that banana skin, in the sense of, I've got to be honest, since we've been promoted, I haven't been watching the Football League highlights every Sunday morning like I used to, but Swansea are a point and a place outside the playoff positions in the second tier, and I didn't even realise they're managed by ex-Notts County player Alan Sheehan, and he's had quite a good record since he's taken over. They've just had one defeat so far, and that was against Middlesbrough, who of course are sitting quite pretty at the top of the table, and they've already had to play 2 rounds in this cup to get to this stage. So they'll be viewing this as an opportunity, won't they? Because as a manager, whichever division you're in, you know that success breeds success and it breeds confidence. So they're going to come into the match with nothing to fear, are they?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think in recent years, Championship managers have tended to ring the changes in the League Cup, though, because they've got so many games. I remember we were doing it, and there's been a lot of criticism of other teams in the Championship putting out reserve sides against teams in the League Cup, sort of aping their Premier League opponents sometimes, so not taking advantage of Premier League teams ringing the changes. So I don't know. I'd be interested to see how they go for it, if it is a strong team, or if they do make a few changes, because they've got even more matches than us to play. So they've got the same issues that we have. So you never know.
Yeah. I'm hoping that in the end it turns out to be about the same, because if we have a cup run and a Europa League run, then we might end up playing a similar amount of matches, which is why we've basically got 2 teams worth of players. Okay, and on the subject of Forest, and coming back to the idea about Big Ange, and I wanted to just let listeners know, in case you missed it or you don't follow us on social media. And if you want to follow us on social media, all the links are available at 1865.football. But last week I had a couple of conversations, and last week I played through the conversation I had with Mariana Spring, who was presenting on Radio 5 Live when the news was breaking that Ange Postecoglou was going to be announced as the new head coach. And then after his first press conference on Thursday, I spoke to Chris Warburton on Radio 5 Live. And this is how it sounded.
You a big Ange man?
Well, we have to be now, don't we? You got to support the manager who's in place.
Yes. How do you feel about him being the new manager? I mean, I know what you mean. You got to get behind him, but do you think he's going to deliver what he says he will?
Well, okay. So first things first is factually, yeah, he has won a trophy every club he's been at, so that's not a bad start. He's existed in the Glasgow pressure cooker, and so he should be able to deal with pressure. He knows what he's getting into by working for Evangelos Marinakis, and if he doesn't, then he must have been living under a rock for the last few years. But crucially, he'll also know that means that those expectations are really, really high. So for all that he'll talk things. Look, let's be honest, okay?
Yeah,
press conferences with managers. Yeah, press conferences with managers, post-match interviews with players, always have a feeling of, well, they would say that, wouldn't they?
Yes, of course. That's the nature of the beast, isn't it? How would you feel if you went and won the Europa League but came 17th in the Premier League?
You know what? I'd be delighted. With a trophy. We haven't had a trophy for a long time. We haven't been in Europe for 30 years. It would be amazing.
Yeah. Well, look, it's Real Betis, isn't it? That's the opening game back in Europe. Less than a fortnight's time. I mean, that will be a proper baptism for him, won't it? How confident are you that he's going to have a lot of new players who would have been getting down to business with Nuno playing in his style in such a short time frame?
Well, I think this is the acid test, isn't it? Look, he also said that he's really really pleased with the squad and the fact that there is a decent sized squad. So hopefully we won't have the same problems that he had with Spurs last season where he could barely string a team together. Secondly, I think, in terms of the availability of players, there should be enough there that he can play in 2 or 3 ways that suit his style of play. And let's not forget as well, Nuno had a remit before everything went wrong, that he was supposed to evolve the style of play to a more possession-based and slightly more pressing style. So that will already have been on the minds of everyone at the club.
Yeah, OK. Big owner, big manager. It's all big for Forest this season. Let's see how they go, Rich. Thanks very much indeed.
Forest are massive.
And that's a fact.
Put it better than me, mate.
Okay, so quite apart from me making a little quip at the end there, I think one of the things that is coming back to what we're talking about with squad rotation and everything, is the match against Swansea also a chance for Ange to sort through some of those players in preparation for the European campaign?
Yes, I think so. I think there's the elephant in the room has been the form of Morgan Gibbs-White these last couple of games, and Sangare. Morgan Gibbs-White maybe more because he's a higher profile player and he's got that pressure of the new contract and every suddenly thinking maybe we should have taken that offer from Spurs, but it's I think we need more from all of our players. Hopefully that competition will translate into better performances and success rather than discontent and an unhappy squad.
Just on the topic that Chris brought up in that interview, big owner, big manager, you did make the point in the weekend match report that most of Forest's big players in that squad did have what you can charitably call an off day. So I think he name-checked Milenkovic, Gibbs-White, Sangare, Hudson-Odoi, Wood as the kind of the chief culprits. And their place is going to be under threat. And then there's also the added dimension, and thinking about Chelsea last season, that there's some players who might be better suited to European football. I mean, the obvious one in my mind is Sangare, who I think could potentially be a Rolls Royce in the Europa League. He's
definitely that slower pace might suit him rather than the hurly-burly of the Premier League, where he tends to sort of look tired after about an hour or so. So maybe that ability to hold on to possession will help. But I'd hope that we'd develop a form of play under Ange where we can confidently go to anywhere and wipe the floor with them.
And on that optimistic note, we will call it a day for this particular episode of Yates's Espresso Bar. Do stay tuned because we will have a report from Swansea coming up in your feeds later in the week. And then we'll have a report for you at the weekend after Forest go away to Burnley to resume league action. And I think that's one where, again, it's going to be a tough old ask. I can't see that being a game with many, many goals. But of course, it remains to be seen what will happen. Whatever happens, we'll tell you about it afterwards. So all I want to do is say thank you very much to Matt. Thank you very much to Radio 5 Live for having me again. Thank you to you, the Maradona in the Midlands. And thank you, listener, for joining us. If you like what you hear, then you can leave us a review, you can subscribe, all these things which will help other people to find our podcast. And all the links, again, are at 1865, the word, .football. In the meantime, come on, you Reds.
You've been listening to 1865, the Nottingham Forest Podcast. Follow us on X, Insta, TikTok, Threads and Blue Sky, and listen via Apple, Spotify and YouTube. All the links are available at 1865.football.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-in and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.